Hi and welcome back to Whitetail Acres Farm. If you recall from a previous video that we've done about our orchard, we talked about the importance of orchard care, especially when it comes to spraying. And we did not spray our fruit trees or any of our fruit plants when we planted the orchard last year. And fortunately, most of the plant did really well. They seemed to be growing and everything was fine, except for these two apple trees here. I think these two apple trees, this one and the other one to the side of it, ended up getting a disease. We believe it was rust that it got. We're not 100% sure, but that's certainly how the leaves looked. They had that rusty look to it. They died off really quickly. They did not produce anything at all and really struggled to even keep leaves on. Unfortunately, we made that mistake of not spraying, and I think that rust is what actually killed these trees, because when we were pruning a few weeks back, we noticed that these trees were not showing any signs of life. Pretty positive these guys are dead, especially now that the warmer weather and some rain has set in. You can see a lot of these other trees are starting to bud, and these guys just aren't doing anything. So I think we need to call our loss here, and we need to plant some new trees. When we planted the trees last year, we ended up putting weed barrier underneath, and then on top of the weed barrier we put a bunch of natural wood chips. That not only helps control the weeds, it helps retain moisture, and then it also just makes it look nice. Many of the apple trees that we already have here in the orchard are Honeycrisp. They're our favorite to eat and the kids love them. So when trying to decide what replacement trees to use, we chose the Red Delicious. And that's because when planting fruit trees, you need to make sure you're planting trees that will pollinate with each other. Some trees will self-pollinate, but unfortunately the Honeycrisp need a pollinator. And Red Delicious is one of those varieties that pollinate really well with Honeycrisp. So that's why we decided these two that we need to replace, we're using the Red Delicious. And so hopefully these will take, maybe we'll get some fruit.
There are a few things to keep in mind when planting fruit trees. First is the timing. The best time for planting fruit trees is early spring or late fall, because the cooler weather is less stressful for the trees. Make sure the location you choose to plant your trees has plenty of sunlight, at least 6 hours of it. The soil needs to also drain well. This may require you to dig a bigger hole than anticipated so you can amend the soil to ensure it drains. When planting the tree, be sure to dig a hole twice as big as the root ball and about as deep as the root ball. Place the tree in the center of the hole, make sure the tree is straight, and then backfill the hole. It's recommended to sprinkle some fertilizer specifically for fruit trees around the tree and then water it really well. We had already amended the soil with organic fruit tree fertilizer and our own organic compost, so we're skipping this step today. We also already sprayed these new Red Delicious trees with an organic fungicide spray right after we bought them, so we don't need to do that today either.
So an interesting thing that most people don't really know when it comes to planting trees is that most fruit and nut trees at a nursery, usually now they're grafted trees. So when planting the trees, towards the base of the tree, you want to look for a nub. You can see right here it's skinny and then it kind of bumps out a little bit. Some have a larger graft than others, but the important thing to know is that when planting trees that are grafted, you cannot plant the trees too deep into the ground. This grafted part, the nub here, needs to be above the soil, and you don't want to cover it with mulch or anything. You need to leave that part exposed. So some people ask what grafting is exactly, and it's a pretty fascinating process. So grafting is actually when you get a really healthy tree that's producing beautiful fruit, and you want to reproduce that tree. You want those genetics. So people will take a limb, a healthy limb off of that good healthy fruit tree, and then they'll get a root stock, and they will usually tape the limb of that healthy fruit tree to the root stock. That limb will try to heal itself, and during that healing process is when the limb will actually fuse to that root stock, and then before you know it, you have a brand new tree. And theoretically, that new tree should then produce that same type of fruit as the original tree, and that's a great way to quickly and easily reproduce fruit trees. So when you try to get trees started as seed, it's a very long process. It can take several years before that seed can turn into a tree that can produce. So grafting is a process that's widely used today because it can quickly allow you to get a good, healthy tree that will produce in half the time or even less. Well, I think that's where we're going to end it today. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you on the next one.